So there's currently been a lot of talks about a Sony FX5 releasing in about a month at the end of July. Honestly, that's very exciting, but there are some quote-unquote confirmed specs. Take these all with a grain of salt because you never know nowadays. Like a lot of people just like make fake news for nothing. And if you're new here, I'm a DP based here in LA. I shoot a lot of commercial, fashion, and social media content. So if you're into that kind of stuff, definitely stick around for the upcoming content because we got some more videos planned up and queued up in the next coming days. So yeah, let's get straight into the video. And the first quote-unquote confirmed spec is going to be a 5K global shutter sensor. How do I feel about this? Well, honestly, I do wish it was a 6K sensor just because I'm so used to 6K now with my Nikon ZR and my Red Komodo X. Obviously, I've had a Sony package for a long time, the FX6, FX3. I'm very used to those images, but I do feel like just that little bit extra detail in a 6K image will definitely help overall as opposed to hurt. And yeah, I feel like just nowadays, this isn't something to really complain about, but I do feel like overall in terms of cropping later on in post, giving you that extra option for a longevity future-proof camera, I definitely would want to have a 6K sensor. I don't really want 8K because I feel like that's too much, but I feel like 6K is the perfect sweet spot for a lot of people. And yeah, but 5K is definitely good. I feel like anything overall as opposed to that 10 megapixel sensor is going to just help overall into improving your detail on your image. And I'm also really excited about the global shutter sensor because I really do love the global shutter on my Komodo X. It's honestly really nice. Once you go to global shutter, it's very hard to not see rolling shutters as prominent. Is that really big of a deal? Not really, but I'm down to see what Sony does to mitigate that dynamic range issue that usually global shutters have. The next feature that is supposedly confirmed is going to be open gate. I've been wanting open gate in my FX6 and FX3 combo for a very long time. I feel like nowadays when everyone is shooting, in terms of commercial work, a lot of people are asking for 16:9 edits, 9:16, 4:5, 1:1. And a lot of people feel very indifferent about needing open gate, but I do see the use case on which it would be super helpful. Let's say if you're doing fashion or lookbook stuff of products, clothing and stuff like that, where you need a 1:1 aspect ratio, where you need a 9:16 aspect ratio. Most of the time you kind of have to center frame a 16:9 cut just so you have that 9:16 vertical cut and also a safety for 1:1 and stuff like that. I feel like that extra headroom and on the toe, it's going to be a lot just more helpful overall as opposed to not having that feature, And I'm not asking for open gate 60 frames for 4K. I think just open gate for 24 frames is honestly going to be a really nice feature to have. And a lot of people are definitely against having open gate or the need for having open gate. If it wasn't a sought-out feature, a lot of people wouldn't even be using those on let's say a Mini LF or a Venice or something like that, which I know a lot of people do use. And yeah, I mean overall, anamorphic options, there's so many more benefits of having open gate, and thankfully they're finally supposedly going to be dropping that with the FX5, which is going to be a very nice feature to have. And hopefully that does happen because I will definitely use that in my product and just commercial shoots. And the last feature that is so far confirmed, quote unquote, definitely take that all with a grain of salt, is that it's going to have a bigger body than the FX3. I definitely feel like it should have a beefier body because the FX3 is very nice, very compact and stuff like that. But I feel like having a little bit more ergonomic of a camera, somewhere between the FX3 and FX6, would be a very nice addition to this lineup, just to kind of bridge the gap between, either a mirrorless style body and a cube style body, you know what I mean? So yeah, I, like most people, I've been waiting for an FX3 Mark II or an FX6 Mark II for a pretty long time now. And I've honestly still been happy with my FX6. I use it all the time, to be honest with you. But I've kind of made a list in my head of things that I want in either an FX3 Mark II or an FX6 Mark II. And this will for sure apply in an FX5. And I really don't know what it's going to be looking like, so it's going to be kind of bridging the gap between those two cameras. So this is in no particular order. The first thing that I want is better exposure tools. I want false color or EL zone in this camera. I think that false color or EL zone is a standard for just checking your exposure at a fast glance, particularly in the FX3. You don't even have waveforms, if I'm not mistaken. Every single cinematographer DP that I do know checks their false color, you know what I mean? So I've obviously gotten by with using an external monitor for that, or zebras in a pinch, either for clipping or for skin tones. But I feel just overall, false color, better exposure tools in general across like the FX series line would be more helpful as opposed to like not having those features, right? Hopefully they can implement that, because like it's honestly just software. But the next thing I want to see is going to be just higher resolution. I do, like I said, I do want a 6K image out of this next camera to just future-proof it overall. A lot of people saying like, why do you need more than 6K? You don't need more than 6K. I want 6K for a future-proof version of this camera. It gives you more versatility to crop in. It gives you a better overall looking image in terms of detail and like just crispness, especially if you're trying to like post for social media after all the compression and stuff like that. If you've ever cropped into the FX3 or FX6 like cameras, you know how quickly that image will degrade because it is going to be less than 4K. Especially like nowadays, like almost every other camera manufacturer has something over 4K as like a standard. Like the Canon has the C400 and the C80 with like 7K, and you have the Nikon ZR, which is what I'm filming on right now, shoots in 6K. You know, Panasonic, all those other cameras that are supposedly competing in cinema style lineups have a higher resolution than 4K. Not saying you need it, but like, why would I stay with this camera brand, particularly Sony, if there are other options for a better price? Kind of my opinion, but you know, next topic right here is going to be to have a better top handle, particularly if you're using an FX3. You know how like small and unergonomic that handle is. I know they kind of try to make it like, you know, very compact and like, you know, stuff like that. Definitely want a better worked out handle than that. And honestly, also just like the XLR module on there could be like a little bit reworked to make it more less clunky overall, I feel like. But yeah, if it's going to be a cube style camera though, like the FX6, like, you know, that kind of body, I want the FX5 to have a better top handle that's more ergonomic as well, but also audio ports on the body itself, as opposed to like locking you into using that top handle whenever you want to run internal audio. But yeah, also like the side grip. If it's like a cube style camera, I want the right side grip to be more secure and just like more similar to the FX9, or honestly better than that, because those that have been using the FX6 for a while now, if you kind of like semi-rig out that camera with a monitor, mics, and all that kind of stuff, and like transmission, image transmission, that side handle is going to creak and it doesn't really lock down as much as you would want it to be. So I feel like that should also be reworked as well. But yeah, next thing right here on the list, VND, internal VND. I don't think that this FX5 is going to have that, because I mean, honestly, I wish it did have that, but then for some reason it tells me like that the FX5 is going to be more like a replacement for the FX3, and then there's going to be like an FX8 that's going to bridge the gap between like, you know, what the FX9 used to be and the FX6. So I don't really see the FX5 having it. I wish it really did. It'd be honestly amazing if it did, and that camera might be a must-buy if you're a Sony shooter. But internal VNDs would be very nice. I would like to have it, but I don't think it's going to be coming on that camera. The next thing on my list is going to be able to turn off noise reduction on the FX3. If you've ever shot a 12,800 on a 2-camera setup with an FX3 and FX6, you're going to notice that there's still a little bit of noise reduction in the FX3. And to match the textures, particularly if you're like trying to match the FX6 and FX3 together, it doesn't really, you know, mesh well, and like the textures don't really add up the same, because there's still that underlying noise reduction on the FX3 being applied. So yeah, I definitely want to be able to turn that off. I feel like that's honestly a firmware update, but for sure I want the FX5 to have that feature. I do not think that the FX5 needs internal RAW. I think internal RAW is overrated. I definitely use it when I have it, you know, because I have like the Nikon ZR and the Red Komodo X, but I feel like it doesn't need to have that as a feature for my FX5 in the future. And the last thing that I want to see on the Sony FX5 is just an overall better screen. I feel like if you've used the Nikon ZR, you know how good this screen can be. And like for a 4-inch 1000 nit brightness screen on the body itself at all times, you honestly never really need to run an external monitor. I'm not running one right now on the camera body itself, and it's honestly very, very nice to use overall, especially on a gimbal. It's really great. And yeah, when I rented the FX3 and I went back to that camera a few months ago, the screen is just so small, it is crazy. I definitely wish they updated in some way. But also, I wish it does have a tilt flip screen if it is a mirrorless style camera, just so when you're like rotating the screen and swiveling the screen, it doesn't hit the ports that are on the body itself. Because like that's my biggest complaint with the Nikon ZR. If there's like a headphone jack plugged in, or like your HDMI cord plugged in, or USB-C, the screen will actually hit those ports. Definitely very annoying. But yeah, these are definitely my list of things that I want to see in the Sony FX5. And like, you know, honestly, a lot of people might disagree with this list, but let me know down below what you think that should be in this next version of a Sony FX series camera. I'm very excited for this camera. I'm pretty sure I'm going to pick it up no matter what it is. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down below and we can talk about it, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Later.